wrestling fans. Not sports entertainment fans. Professional wrestling fans. Professional wrestling. This is it. This is us standing up. This is
the Wrestling Matters Podcast, a podcast that stands up for professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters. So join the revolution, because the revolution is now.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
professional wrestling. This is it. This is us standing up.
Yes, 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 yes.
That's 13-14.
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Anthony Walker, and yes, it is that time again for another installment of the Wrestling Matters Podcast. That's right, the Wrestling Matters Podcast brings you the best in professional wrestling. At today's show, we're going to talk Raw, we'll talk Smackdown, TNA, NXT, and Ring of Honor as well, as we always do. Plus a few things here and there. Part 1 of Wrestling Zone with Michael Larkin as well on today's show. Look out for that on SoundCloud. I will be uploading the full episode and full audio of that on SoundCloud very, very soon, sometime this week. So check that out. Part 1 of that will be today. Part 2 will be next week. And if there's a part 3, it'll be the week after. If not, part 2 will be next week. So with that being said, hope you enjoy the show. Hope all is well in whatever it is you are doing. And yeah, I just want to talk about a few things to begin with. I got talking to somebody about this during the week. Middlesbrough played Everton at the League Cup quarter-final at the Riverside Stadium the other day, last Tuesday in fact, and I was there working that match, and I got talking to somebody about a fascinating topic about the direction WWE has gone. And I mentioned this as well on Michael Larkin, when I had that talk with Michael Larkin as well, which you'll probably listen to later on. Michael gives his thoughts as well, excuse me. It's the direction in terms of where WWE's gone, and now I'm not talking about NXT, I'm talking about Raw and Smackdown. I believe it was a couple of weeks ago. They announced that Raw ratings were 2.5. Now, considering the way it's gone, that sucks. And you wonder why Vince Russo is having a pop at it, okay? It is a different feel to what Raw is now. And you can blame anything you want, but the main thing you have to blame is the PG era. I mean, it was just a couple of months ago, maybe a month ago, at Hell in the Cell during the Brock Lesnar-Undertaker fight. There was blood, and there was, Vince going doolally tap over the fact that Brock Lesnar threw the doctor out the ring. You know, is the fact that Raw's ratings are low because, you know, maybe it is a PG era? Because let's face it, you can watch NXT every week. 60-minute show, action-packed, wrestling personified, and you can believe that. You watch Raw or SmackDown, and they're not believable in what they used to be. I mean, I watch Raw each and every Monday and review it the next day. Well, I've started that anyway. And it's got to the point now where Raw is believable to the point where no one cares about it. You know, it's not like, you know, there's no blood there. There's nothing there that makes it now believable. I mean, although Raw's this past week was good, okay, not the greatest Raw, but it was good for what it was. Far better than the one after Survivor Series, because the one after Survivor Series felt like it was just shot together at the last minute, you know. The secret, in my opinion, speaking from watching Raw many years and watching, you know, other TV shows many years like Nitro and shit like that, I think I've learned the secret to a good show is to have things that, you know, make you go wow, or draw that attention, or make you want to talk about it straight away. You know, like the news bulletins where you have breaking news kind of stuff, you know, that kind of stuff. You'll hear my Raw review later on in the show, but it's not what it used to be. Raw and SmackDown and WWE need to change. And quick. Now, there is some creative in WWE, but it's all bad. It's not good, it's not great, it's not awesome, it's not yay. It sucks. You know, unlike TNA, who have no creative at the moment, you know, it sucks. Raw, WWE, main roster, WWE is pants. Nobody cares about SmackDown. SmackDown at the moment right now is turned into a Raw show. Raw Part 2. Because they spend more time talking about Raw than they do their own show. It's ridiculous. It is. It's absolutely ridiculous. And that is why people, whether they like the network or not, people are signing up to the network to check out, the other shows. Like Raw, SmackDown, from 98 onwards, because that's when Raw was believable. That's when SmackDown was awesome, and believable, and both shows were great. Now you look at them from what they were or what they used to be to what they are now. Vince Russo's right. There is a steady decline, not just in ratings, but in believability to Raw and SmackDown, because they both stink the joint out. And I'll admit, I was pumped when Raw was going for 3 hours, because they've done 3-hour shows before. They've done the Raw Homecomings and and the Slammy Awards and shit like that. So they've done 3-hour shows before. And I thought maybe going to 3 hours is a great idea. Boy, was I wrong. I mean, if you're going to do a 3-hour show, you have to have a variety of stuff that people want to see. But Raw don't do that, It's the best time to have a 3-hour show, or for WWE to have a 3-hour show, if it's a special occasion, like a Raw, like a Raw Homecoming, or maybe a King of the Ring, even though they fucked that up. 1 hour show for King of the Ring, 2 semifinals and a final, really? And you wonder why people are asking to bring that back on pay-per-view. That needs to be back on pay-per-view. I mean, Raw at the moment sucks. And not only it's just the creative side of it as well, it's the storylines. I mean, guys, I watched, it's on YouTube, WWE Botchamania the other day. Botchamania, I believe it was 294. And I don't like the direction Roman Reigns is going at the moment. Do I respect the guy? Yeah, somewhat, because he went toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar. But it seems people are booing him out the building because they don't get him, or they don't like the guy. But WWE are trying to force the crowd, from what I see, to cheer him. Give you an example. If you go and watch, I'll put the link in the description on YouTube, and I'll put the link in the description on SoundCloud as well. The link will be in the description. You have to check this out, and you have to see the episode of Botchamania to get where I'm coming from. Because I believe it's 294 episode. Sheamus wins the world title at Survivor Series, and then gets royally fucked over by Sheamus, and then Sheamus wins it. Now, you expect people to be sympathetic towards Roman Reigns because he won the title. If it was Daniel Bryan, they'd definitely be sympathetic. But they weren't sympathetic towards him. They kind of liked it, to be honest. Despite the fact they'll probably despise Sheamus more, but they were not sympathetic towards Roman Reigns. In fact, they were booing Reigns. And like I say, Botchamania brings this out great, probably better than anybody else. They played the music, from what I saw. They played his music to drown out the boos towards Roman Reigns. It seems WWE are forcing him. That's why they probably put the belt on Sheamus anyway, because they want people to cheer Roman Reigns and get behind Roman Reigns to the point where he's going to be WWE champion. You can't force fans to choose what they like and dislike. That's my point. You can't do that at all. Fans are going to tell you if they like certain stuff. Fans are going to tell you if they don't. That's just the way it is. You could put The Undertaker a friggin' heel and he will still be cheered. Why? Because of one word. Respect. And that's why I've always said, not only wrestling matters, respect matters. It's a simple, common sense dichotic. You can't force your wrestling fans who pay money to see your shows, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, live events, pay-per-views, whatever, to cheer who they want. If people are booing Roman Reigns, people are booing Roman Reigns. I mean, it's like John Cena. John Cena is the biggest babyface on the damn roster, but he still gets booed out the building. You don't force people, or try and force people to cheer him. At the end of the day, you're making Roman Reigns look like a complete tool. Probably an even bigger tool than he already is in many fans' eyes. Not in mine. I do have a little bit of respect for him. But WWE, you can't force your wrestling fans or your fans of your product to cheer who they want. You're trying to put Reigns over. You're trying to get him over as a babyface. I get that. But it doesn't work. And I'm not speaking to you as an expert in wrestling. I'm just calling it as I see it. And I'm speaking to you as a wrestling fan. I mean, no one's going to force me to cheer for somebody. If I dislike somebody, I mean, whatever happened to freedom of expression in WWE? It seems that all I'm saying is, it seems that you're trying to make people cheer for Roman Reigns, and it's not working. It's making you guys look like idiots, and it's making you guys look like tools, and it's making Roman Reigns not look good. At the end of the day, best part for you to do, since this ain't working, you'd be best off turning Roman Reigns heel, because at least you'll get some heat out of it. Because people don't believe him as a babyface, from what it seems. Maybe people don't believe him in general, and, you know, you're making him not look good. And at WrestleMania, he told you that he wasn't ready to be the champion. Maybe that was the case for Survivor Series. If that was the case, I don't know. But if that was the case for Survivor Series, he's never going to find out if he's ready to be WWE champion. Ric Flair won the NWA title for the first time, and even he admits it himself, it wasn't the best run that he's had. But when he won the run that he had, the best run that he had, and what made people believe that he was a champion, and what made himself believe he could be a champion, is when he beat Harley Race in '83. That's when it all started. He had it the first time around. Didn't work out. When he got it again from Harley Race, off to the races he went. Maybe do that with him. But if you're going to put the belt on Roman Reigns, then just do it already. But you can't force your fans to cheer for somebody that they're clearly booing out the building. Yes, I'm not saying it's necessarily all of them, 100% of them, but you can't force people to cheer for who they want or boo who they want. It just doesn't work like that. And that's how you lose fans anyway, because that's like you telling your fans what to do, and that's not going to work out in any way, shape or form at all. And also the storylines, don't change your storylines left and right, man. It seems that you're doing that. I mean, you build and build. We all knew at the end of the day the storyline, there was a storyline in amongst the tournament. We all knew at the end of the day Roman Reigns was going to win the title. You could see it a mile away. The way you were booking him in storyline wise, you know, Triple H coming out, shaking his hand, he turns away, he says, I'm going to do it on my own, bam. He ends up doing it. But then you change at the last minute and bring in Sheamus and have Sheamus cash it in. You're changing your storylines at the last minute. And all I'm saying is that is, you wonder why your ratings are 2.5. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, hope you've enjoyed that. That was just my honest opinion about the direction of WWE. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And I'll be back after this with the Raw review. And then I'll be back in part 3 with Smackdown NXT, and then TNA and Ring of Honor, and then part 1 of Michael Larkin, and who knows, a little bit more as well. So stay tuned. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/WM podcast and like the page and show your support to the podcast that stands up for professional wrestling, the Wrestling Matters podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? It's me, that HEAD, back with you for another Raw review. That's right. Raw review took place last night, November 30th. Wow, I'm losing dates. Sick. November 30th in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now, a very average Raw again, except this time it was better than last week's, in my opinion. So they had that going for them because it was far better than last week's. Still a bit of an okay Raw, a bit of a shocking Raw as well, in a way, considering. Now, I'll get to this right now. First off, Raw saw the return of Lana and Rusev. They came out on Miss TV. Lana claims that, you know, she's back to normal. She's back to where she was before, you know, being Rusev's sidekick and whatever. They talked about the TMZ thing getting out, them getting engaged and that, and apparently Lana turned around and went, she didn't go all the way with Dolph. Anyway, Ryback interrupted, came out, and all of that led into a match that we've seen before, nothing new. But it ended very weirdly for me because Rusev got driven back into the steel steps. The steel steps knocked into Lana's thigh, and she's out on the floor. And then so Rusev, instead of coming back in, gets counted out because he goes to check on Lana. You know, it's just a weird way to end, but it'd be interesting to see what direction Lana and Rusev go in WWE, considering, because they were high in the storyline. Some are raised now with Tyler Breeze, more on her later, and more on Tyler Breeze later. But yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see where that goes, what direction they will get. Will they get a tag? We all know where Rusev's going, more on that later on. But it'd be interesting to see where they go as a team, you know, as they were before, considering where things gone out. I mean, have they made peace with the WWE? Has WWE made peace with them? Have they still got heat from what I've been reading on the dirt sheets? I don't know. Interesting to find out. Raw kicked off with the New Day. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Being the hosts of Sheamus' celebration, basically sucking up to Sheamus. That's what they were doing. Considering the months they were sucking up to Seth Rollins. Now Seth Rollins is on the shelf and Sheamus is the new champion. Oh, yeah, we'll suck up to Sheamus. Give me a break. The whole thing, he was rubbing it in. And then Sheamus is all of a sudden Stone Cold Steve Austin. Sheamus 5'15". He wears a T-shirt later on. I'll get to that in a second. And the whole celebration, just celebrating him being the champion, goes up to the top rope, turns round, Superman punch. Roman Reigns out of nowhere, Superman punch. And Roman Reigns takes the belt, takes it backstage, holds it up the top of the ramp, and then has to give it back to Stephanie. I would say Triple H, but again, Roman Reigns punks out the authority again. And gets a world title shot later on in the evening, but has to beat Sheamus in 5 minutes and 15 seconds. The amount of time that he had the championship in the first place, which was just ridiculous because we all know what's going to happen. It's them two at TLC. It was just more build-up for TLC. And it ended up being a bit of history as well because Rusev, Alberto Del Rio, who beat Goldust earlier on in the night. I'll get to that in a second. Rusev, Alberto Del Rio, and Wade Barrett came out and interfered, basically saving Sheamus his championship. Now, would it be wrong to call these guys the new Four Horsemen? Nah. Maybe the new United Kingdom, because the League of Nations faction was born. Sheamus, the leader, obvious leader, Wade Barrett, Rusev, and Alberto Del Rio. US champion, world champion in there as well. Now, this could be the modified version of the United Kingdom. For those of you that don't know, go back to play a couple of SmackDown versus Raw, or maybe 2K15 or SmackDown versus Raw, whenever it was. Because they had a group on their United Kingdom which involved Drew McIntyre, William Regal, Wade Barrett, and Sheamus. So maybe this is the modified version of it. I don't know. But it's a League of Nations. And, they were scheduled to go into a big main event later on in the evening because of what happened when they went out against the Usos, Ambrose, and Roman Reigns. But the New Day somehow weaseled their way into it, and Raw ended with the beatdown of Roman Reigns and his crew. And the League of Nations and New Day in celebratory mode, and Sheamus being held up above, on the shoulders and everything with the championship, which was just ridiculous. Poor way to end Raw, if you ask me. As far as the League of Nations direction goes, we all know what's going to happen. But will this last? Will Sheamus retain the championship at TLC? We'll have to wait and see. We all know as well, it was announced as well, which we already knew, but it was announced anyway. Kevin Owens defends the Intercontinental Championship against Dean Ambrose at TLC as well. I love me some Kevin Owens, but please, Dean Ambrose needs a belt. That's all I'm saying on that. Back up to the first match of the night, which was Tyler Breeze and Dolph Ziggler. A redemption match for Ziggler, considering what happened at the pay-per-view, Survivor Series. And they picked up where they left off. I thought it was a better match than the Survivor Series pay-per-view, if you ask me. Lots of counters, lots of quick falls, and it got to the point where Ziggler gets out of a fall, Tyler Breeze turns around, walks right into a super kick, and Ziggler gets redemption. So it's 1-1 now in this series that apparently these two are having. What will happen? We'll have to wait and see. Maybe another match at TLC. I won't be complaining. But they've gone the right route with this because Survivor Series, Breeze needed to win, which he did, and cleanly. And then Ziggler obviously gets his redemption. And now probably the rubber match will be at TLC. Or who knows. But we all know rubber match. If they're smart, they'll put it at TLC. But we all know WWE is not that bright half the time because they usually give matches away for free. But a match for TLC, Dolph Ziggler, hopefully, will take on Tyler Breeze in the rubber match. Who else? Oh, yes. It seems that the Dudleys have beef with the Wyatt family. Considering last Monday they destroyed the Dudley boys, the Wyatt family, that is. And it seems that the Dudleys kind of feel themselves outnumbered. So they come out with tables with each of the Wyatt family's names on it. And, you know, the Dudleys, they plan on putting every one of the Wyatt families through the tables. The Wyatt family came out. Obviously, there was going to be a 6-man tag in the pipeline, but who would be the mystery opponent? Or the mystery partner of the Dudleys? Who did Dudleys go out and get? Tommy Dreamer. That's right. The Innovator Violence seems to be back in WWE. The Innovator of Violence, the owner of House of Hardcore. Maybe he struck a deal with WWE to get them working together or something. I don't know. But, yeah, it was actually good to see him back. And the 6-man tag took place after Dudley's and Tommy Dreamer fighting off the Wyatt family. But the match ended in a no contest, but that wasn't the story. The Wyatts had the Dudleys and Tommy Dreamer where they wanted him, or where they wanted them. And Wyatt was on the apron to directing traffic. And you could see Bubba Ray was looking to get up and everything. And as they were preparing to put the Dudleys through the table again, like they did on SmackDown with that double choke slam, Bubba Ray gets up from out of nowhere, just runs at Bray Wyatt and pushes him through the table. On the apron, he pushes him off through the table. And as you can probably tell from the thumbnail, that's what happened. You can tell by the thumbnail that I've got for this video. Out of the blue. Nobody expected that. Not even the Wyatts. And Luke Harper was extremely pissed. But I guess that's 1 down, 3 to go. Will they get the other people through the other guys through the tables? It'd be interesting to see how they get Braun Strowman through a table. That big motherfucker. But yeah. Very interesting to see where that goes, that feud. And hopefully both sides, the Wyatt family and the Dudley boys, get some benefit out of it. Because, boy, do they need it. Goldust beats Alberto Del Rio, which eventually ends up happening. But the story of the match, excuse me, was not the victory for Alberto. Alberto looks to put the armbar on Goldust, but Jack Swagger comes out, and when Jack Swagger runs to the ring, Alberto Del Rio bails. U.S. title matches on the pipelines for these two. And Jack Swagger goes, "We the people." Tries to rub it in to Seb Coulter. I don't know where this would go. I mean, I would imagine this is entirely different. An entirely different Alberto Del Rio to what it was before, because these two are feuded over the world title. Be interesting to see where this goes. And we all know it's going to be a match at TLC. You know, will there be a stipulation in? Will it be just a one-on-one United States wrestling match? Be interesting to see. Yeah. It's a different Jack Swagger because he hasn't got Seb Coulter with him this time. And it's a different Alberto Del Rio because he's got Seb Coulter with him this time. So, be interesting to see where that goes. But I'm not expecting much. Number 1 contenders tag team match, which ended in a no contest. And Stephanie gives the Lucha Dragons the title shot, which quite rightly so, because they get it. They've had a courtesy of what happened on SmackDown. Apparently, they got a pinfall victory. They got a victory over the New Day anyway, so quite rightly so. Give them the title shot. But everybody expected it to be a triple threat match. But Stephanie's sticking it to Roman Reigns via the Usos. And if Roman beat Sheamus later on in the evening in that 5-minute 15 match, you know, they would get a title shot. So you could see it in the pipelines, in the works. The seeds have been planted for a triple threat match at TLC pay-per-view involving the Usos, the Lucha Dragons, and the New Day. You could see the seeds. But at the moment right now, it seems Lucha Dragons get a title shot against the New Day, which I don't have any beef with whatsoever because the Lucha Dragons deserve it. Will the Usos get thrown in the mix? We'll wait and see. I would imagine so, but you never know. Sasha Banks squashes Brie Bella, just proving that she's the boss. Not much of this match, basically. Sasha just trying to prove the dominance of what was going on. You know, trying to prove that she is the most dominant diva and the reason she is the boss. And Team Bad are the most dominant group in this Divas division as well. So nothing much. Roman Reigns, I've already talked about that one, which forms the League of Nations as well. And I've already talked about the main event, but a very interesting dynamic of what's took place here. Because Charlotte went 1-on-1 with Becky Lynch, two BFFs going at it. And Paige was at ringside, rubbing it in. But that wasn't the story of the match. The story of the match was Charlotte playing possum and Ric Flair distracting Becky in a way, and then Charlotte playing possum, kipping up and getting the victory. Becky didn't seem too pleased with that. And after the match, they were backstage, what the hell was going on and everything. Charlotte seems to have calmed it down, but I don't think Becky's going to take that lightly. We might see the full demotion of PCB. You know, she managed to calm her down, Charlotte, but there seems to be a little twist there. You know, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but Charlotte seems to be the babyface. But there seems to be a heel turn in the process. A heel turn for Becky Lynch. Or maybe Charlotte, I don't know. But it seems to be more Becky Lynch. And it seems to be the next time Charlotte defends the title, which will probably be a TLC. The next time she defends the belt, a TLC, no doubt, maybe Becky will screw her out the title. You know, the seeds are planted there. Whether they will go ahead with it, who knows? You know, but you got to remember the Four Horsewomen, two members of the Four Horsewomen. So, what the hell WWE are trying to do with that? I don't know, but we'll see. But maybe there's a seed being planted with the heel turn for Becky Lynch. And Becky, you know how usually it comes out, you know, say Charlotte defends the title, Becky comes out to help Charlotte, everybody expects her to help Charlotte, and bam, she turns on her. She turns on her, you know. It's a seed planted. Whether it will go ahead or not remains to be seen. But, yeah, that about wraps it up for the Raw review. And overall, it was a better Raw than the last week. Last week's was poor. Still on the average side, nothing great. Few shocking moments here and there, but nothing great about it. But it was better than last week's Raw. It was definitely better than last week's. So the scores I'll give it is, out of 5, I'll give it a 3, maybe 2.5. A 2.5 to a 3. You know, blend them both in. You decide on that one, guys. And out of 10, I'll give it a 6. because it was better than last week's. I found it to be more better than last week's, because last week's was piss poor. It was like they just shot it together. Last week's they like shot it together at the last minute. It was really, really bad. But this one was a little bit better. Not a lot better. It wasn't great, but it was a little bit better than last week's. Maybe a lot. So, with that being said, that is the end of the Raw review. Now, I've got some news. If you're in the Liverpool area, in the UK, Birkenhead area, get yourself over to Mystery Island. I believe it's January 5th or January 2nd. It's early January, beginning of January. Let me just double check this. I forgot the date. They sent me the date last week. Yep, January 2nd. January 2nd, Saturday, I would imagine that is, because I'm working that day at the borough. January 2nd, if you're in the Birkenhead area, Liverpool, get yourself over to Mystery Island and go and meet SoCal Val. That's right, SoCal Val will be in there making an appearance, signing autographs, meeting the fans, hanging out, doing all that good stuff as well with the wrestling fans. So if you're in the area, get yourself over there. I don't know if there's tickets or anything available, but if you're in the area on January 2nd, pop over. Pop over there and get yourself in and say hi to SoCal Val. Remember, guys, Birkenhead area, Mystery Island, January 2nd. Okay, so be sure to check that out as well. Also, guys, check out the new installment of the Wrestling Matters podcast. It is up now, episode 87. A lot of information now on TeamDavyBoySmith.com and how you can sign a petition to convince WWE or be on board this petition to get Bulldog where he rightfully belongs in the Hall of Fame. And that about wraps it up, guys. For more information, check out Facebook.com/WM Podcast, at WM Podcast on Twitter. I will put the links to the Mystery Island. I can't put them in the description, but I'll put the links to Mystery Island, all the links. I'll put it like an annotation. There'll be an annotation in the corner somewhere throughout the video. So be sure to check that out as well. Follow the links on there. I'll put all the links in there as well. So be sure to check out Mystery Island as well. I can't put them in the description below because it's full up. And like I said, there'll be an annotation in the corner of this video as you're seeing this right now. Or there should be unless you took it off. But there'll be an annotation at the start of this video or throughout the video of where you can go from Mystery Island, the Mystery Island links. So if you want more information on SoCal Val, check it out on there as well. All the links will be on there, including their website. My name is Anthony Walker. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And until next week, guys, I'll be back next week with another Raw review. See you soon. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast part 2. Hope you've enjoyed the Raw audio there, and we'll get right into it. Let's get into it. Smackdown and NXT. We'll kick off with Smackdown. Roman Reigns kicked off Thursday night's hottest show, flanked by his cousins Jimmy and Jey Uso and his brother-in-arms Dean Ambrose. The big dog was clearly thankful for his family this holiday season, but it didn't take long for him to turn his attentions to his TLC opponent Sheamus, while calling out the League of Nations. The WWE World Heavyweight Champion King Barrett, United States Champion Alberto Del Rio, and Rusev happily obliged, eventually relying that WWE officials made a match pitting the Celtic Warrior and his foreign faction against Reigns, Ambrose, and the Usos later in the evening. This prompted the New Day to appear alongside their recent allies on the SmackDown stage. WWE Tag Team Champions made fun of Reigns, the ruiner, before announcing that officials also made the stipulation that his tag team partners must first defeat them in a 6-man tag team match to compete alongside Reigns. later in the evening in an 8-man tag. If those superstars lost, however, then it would be truly one versus all for the number one contender in the main event. And later, also what took place on Smackdown. I'll go through this as quick as I can. Tyler Breeze beats Neville. That'd be a good feud for Tyler Breeze once he's done with Dolph. Brie Bella beats Becky via disqualification. The Miz gave Neville A-list advice. Guessing it'll be the Miz and Neville next in a feud. Well, there'll be something in the pipelines between them two. New Day defeat the Usos and Dean Ambrose, so it's going to be a handicap match. Bray Wyatt beats Devon Dudley. I thought it was Bubba Ray, but anyway, there's going to be a match between both teams at the TLC pay-per-view, which is next week, in fact. Good grief. Roman Reigns defeats the League of Nations. How, I don't know. It's hard not to believe Roman Reigns after he managed to outlast the League of Nations via a count-out victory in a 4-on-1 handicap match in SmackDown's main event. The big dog was met with a 1 versus all scenario, and he prevailed. After sliding back into the ring before the referee's 10 count, his opponents were left scattered around the ring, unable to make it back inside the squared circle in time, thanks to Reigns' explosive attack. Sheamus was none too pleased with this outcome, delivering a brutal bro kick to an unsuspected Reigns. After the match was over, help was on the way. However, the Usos and Dean Ambrose rushed to the aid of the embattered Reigns, chasing the foreign faction from the ring before they could do more damage. Reigns' empire stood tall for another day as his World Heavyweight Championship TLC match against Sheamus at TLC fast approaches, which was just incredible, to say the least. Now we'll fast go from SmackDown straight into NXT. Let's see how things went with NXT London fast approaching as well. Right, we'll get into it. Bear with me here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get right into it. Let's do it. Right, NXT. NXT kicked off this week with Byron Corbin defeating Ty Dillinger. Warm up to his match with Apollo Crews at TakeOver. A match has been announced for TakeOver in London. Colin Cassidy and Enzo Amore are out to secure payback and win the NXT Tag Team titles as they go against Dash and Dawson. If you're going to put the belts on them already, just do it. For goodness sake. I say keep the belts on Dawson, but that's another issue for another day. Right. Nia Jax defeats Blue Pants and sends a huge message to the women's division in NXT. James Storm defeats Adam Rose. I think Adam Rose is now looking for a new identity in NXT, but anyway. Jason Jordan and Chad Gable defeat the Vaudevillains. Emma defeats Liv Morgan, and Samoa Joe defeats Tommaso Ciampa. Both competitors have known each other for a long time, and Samoa Joe introduced Tommaso Ciampa to his wife. Two have never squared off in the ring. The NXT universe witnessed one of the most smash-mouth battles in recent history. Joe showed off his vicious strikes, powers, staggering Ciampa with a straight right hand. However, Ciampa refused to back down, hitting Joe with thunderous chops, setting off an exchange of slaps in between throughout the arena. Ciampa had Joe on the ropes after attacking his arm and locking on the submission, but the furious submission specialist powered out and exploded into a rage. Samoa Joe picked up the victory after connecting with the Muscle Buster and trapping Ciampa with the Kakita Clutch, leaving Ciampa with no choice but to tap out. If this is the ruthless, unforgiving offense of Joe is planning to unleash on Finn Balor at NXT TakeOver, there may be a new NXT champion. I can't deny that one. But in any event, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of that. Hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll be back right after this with TNA and Ring of Honor, so stay tuned. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Anthony Walker, the host and creator of the Wrestling Matters podcast and a long-time wrestling fan, encouraging everybody to sign a petition to get this man, this little picture in the corner right here, the British Bulldog, into the Hall of Fame where he belongs. There is a long list of people who are not in the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame, and deserve to be in there. This man's one of them. Okay, I have been a fan of wrestling ever since I was a little child, and the fact that this man is not in the Hall of Fame, quite frankly, is a joke. He deserves it, and you can help sign this petition to get him in the Hall of Fame where he belongs. To sign the petition and show your support, go to www.teamdavyboysmith.com to sign the petition and show your support and help get this man in the Hall of Fame where he belongs. Long live the British Bulldog. Let's get him in the Hall of Fame. My name is Anthony Walker. Peace out. Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to part 3 of the Wrestling Matters podcast, or part 4, I would imagine, of the Wrestling Matters podcast, whatever part we're in, I've lost count, you're right. And I'm going to run through the TNA results and talking points. These are the people who are now in round, or the final, is it the final 8? Quarterfinals? To the round of 8, as it's known. EC3 is in there. He beats DJZ to advance to the quarterfinals. Yes, it is the quarterfinals. Tigre Uno beats Gail Kim. Not surprising on that one. The girls, in my opinion, have no business being in this world title series. Maybe if they had a world title series for the knockout, maybe. Bram, Davey Richards beats Bram, and that was probably the last time we'll see Bram for a while, considering what he's going through at the moment, or supposedly going through at the moment. I don't know, I haven't had any updates on that. Shearer is in the quarters as well by beating Eli Drake. Matt Hardy advances to the quarterfinals by beating Bobby Roode. If he wins this championship series, I'm going to tell you this right now. There was all these rumors about Awesome Kong winning it, which seems to be squashed now since Jesse's now won her match, which I'll probably get to in a second. But I can tell you this right now. I have no problem Matt Hardy being a world champion in TNA. I have no problem with him winning this tournament. But if he wins this tournament, this world title series, this whole title series has been fucking pointless. Because they'd have been best off keeping the belt on him at Bound for Glory, when he won it at Bound for Glory. But thanks to a stupid injunction by EC3, which prompted the World Title Series in the first place, if Matt Hardy wins it, the whole fucking thing's been pointless. At least we'll know Awesome Kong hasn't won it, because she got beat by Jesse Goodars. So Jesse's now in the quarters. Eric Young and Kenny King, I would imagine Eric Young won this one, yep, just as I suspected, because Kenny King is now in Ring of Honor. So that was prohibited to do so. And Drew Galloway and Bobby Lashley, we saw, surprisingly, Bobby Lashley beating Drew Galloway to advance to the quarterfinals. And the quarterfinals now see EC3 versus Davey Richards, Mahanobu Shira against Lashley, Jesse Goddard against Matt Hardy, and Tigre Uno against Eric Young. So no doubt they'll be next week. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor kicked off this week with Will Ferrara against Adam Page. And obviously these guys are still pissed off, Decade that is, for not being allowed on Final Battles December 18th pay-per-view. So Adam Page went 1-on-1 with Will Ferrara, and the thing is, Will Ferrara gave the Decade a little bit of his own medicine. Two great competitors going at it. It was a great match. Not bad for something that lasts about 6 to 8 minutes. And Decade's BJ Whitmer was tried to check charge of the distraction by Colby Corino, throws the crutch in the ring, looking for Adam Page to catch it and use it. Will Ferrara ends up catching it and uses it on Adam Page and completely knocks him out. And then Decade tries to get involved after the match, and Mark Briscoe, who's at ringside, puts a stop to that, probably with permission from Nigel McGuinness. After that, as well, there was the main event. Kingdom got involved in the match that was supposed to be the main event between Dalton Castle and Adam Cole, but it ended up being Dalton Castle and War Machine against Kingdom, and it was a great match, great little main event for the time they had at least, and which saw, not surprisingly, the Kingdom getting the victory, thanks to Adam Cole, getting the pinfall victory over Dalton Castle. Question is, will he be able to handle Kyle O'Reilly next week, leading into their match at Final Battle? Now, other than that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, former television champion Jay Lethal and current Ring of Honor World Champion had a face-to-face confrontation with AJ Styles. Now, both these guys have respect for each other, but both made it simple. Jay Lethal vows to beat AJ Styles at Final Battle, and AJ Styles vows to become something that he's never had the opportunity, never had the chance to become, and that is the Ring of Honor World Champion. Final Battle will be very interesting, no doubt. Matches that have been made for Final Battle as well. The tag team titles will be on the line. The Kingdom, Michael Bennett, Matt Taven defend against War Machine. Moose will go 1-on-1 with Michael Elgin. And the television championship, it will be on the line as well. Newly champion Roderick Strong will defend against Bobby Fish of Red Dragon, rather, and Kyle O'Reilly goes one-on-one with Adam Cole. So very interesting. Plus the world title itself, Jay Lethal and AJ Styles. So final battle, biggest show in Ring of Honor's calendar. It's very interesting. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back right after this very commercial break. In fact, right after part 1 of Michael Larkin, Wrestling Zone with Michael Larkin. I'm going to play part 1. Then I'll be back after that with the outro. So enjoy part 1 of Wrestling Zone with Michael Larkin right after this. Stay tuned. If you like the Wrestling Matters Podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters Podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Wrestling fans, welcome to a Wrestling Matters production. That's right. Another installment of Wrestling Zone. Wrestling Zone. I believe that's what they call it. Yeah, Wrestling Zone. Yes. It's been a while, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a while. We've both been very busy, so I might have lost it a few times. It's hard to get used to. Mine was Wrestling Unleashed. This is Wrestling Zone. And yes, he's back, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the podcast, Michael Larkin.
Hello, Anthony. I'm happy to be back. Wrestling Matters Podcast fans, hello.
Yep, back for another installment.
Yep.
Another installment of just general wrestling, basically, as we always do. And as I do on his show, I go on there. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I do feel like Jim Cornette sometimes when I'm on that show. But anyway, because... you know, it's like Jim Cornette expressing his opinions like he used to do back in the old days.
Yes.
But, yeah, it's just another general wrestling banter kind of talk today and giving our views and opinions on the world of professional wrestling. Now, we'll kick off with a topic that, like we were saying before we came on air, Michael, I had a discussion about this the other night when I was at the Botchamania. One of my colleagues got into a discussion about the direction of where Raw has gone and SmackDown in general, the main roster. I'd say NXT, but NXT is kicking ass at the moment. But about the Raw and SmackDown main roster and storylines as well. What is your take on the direction of the main roster at the moment? I mean, I'll give you a quick example. 2.5 rating.
Well, yeah. Be honest, I as a fan, I like what I'm seeing. I mean, I like the whole Roman Reigns, being in chase for the title. I mean, I listened to your review of the Survivor Series, and yes, I do believe he did get royally screwed, but I do enjoy the chase. I'm looking forward to seeing him go against Sheamus, at the TLC next week. I mean, I've been enjoying the shows. That's just me personally, how I feel as a fan. I know some people have had other opinions about it, but me, I've just been enjoying it for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I've had an opinion as well. The night after Survivor Series was just poorly booked. It was just poorly put together. It was like it came across like it was put together at the last minute. Kind of thing.
Yeah, I could see where you're coming from there.
Yeah, it was like it was put together at the last minute. I mean, there was no shocking moments. There was no things that attract my attention. And this is the way it's come to, guys, with Raw and SmackDown as well. I mean, at the moment right now, nobody cares about SmackDown.
Yeah.
But Monday Night Raw, 2.5 rating. And you wonder why Vince Russo is having a pop. Because, it is diabolical the way the direction's gone. I mean, compared to what it used to be. And this is why people are signing up for the network. Whether they like it or not, they're signing up for the network because they want to sign up to watch the Attitude Era Raw from about 97 to about 99. Because that's when Raw was fucking epic.
At its peak.
Was at its peak. As they say, like a fighter, when you say the fighter's in the prime. Raw was definitely in its prime around about that about that era. Definitely. I mean, some of the shit that went down on there, they didn't, they weren't afraid to take risks. It was just great stuff. And I'll watch it when I can get the chance. I'd shut it on, switch it on, and see what's up and everything. And like I say, some of the stuff was good, and some of the storylines were good as well. They were good written, and plus it was 2 hours, which is another diabolical thing. I mean, what were you like when they first announced Raw was going to be 3 hours?
I felt that it was probably going to be very challenging because, sometimes sitting through a pay-per-view for 3 hours is just, depending upon, how they book it and stuff. So I thought it would be a challenge for them. And, as you can see towards the third hour, they changed the channel. But I liked it when it was 2 hours. I think they should have stayed at 2 hours.
Yeah, the thing is with people, it's not the first time. They have done it before they decided to go full-time with 3 hours. They have done it before with 3 hours. They've done the odd shows here and there, like a Raw Homecoming or whatever the fuck, or even Slammy Awards. They've even done it 3 hours. But I was hoping that it would go to a Nitro kind of thing. But, like I said, the direction it's gone. And Batista quite rightly said in a little interview that I had with him and Chris Jericho, it's because of the PG-13.
Yes.
I mean, they took all their tools away. And WWE main roster, at the most, I don't know if you would agree with me on this, Michael, but WWE main roster, Raw and SmackDown, is not believable anymore.
Yeah.
It's not believable like it used to be. I mean, back in the day when they had blood and shit like that, fucking hell, it was believable. And they were respected. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's probably about a majority of the roster that want to kick ass and go out there and wrestle. And, and bust their ass and go to war. But they're not allowed to do that. It's like the Divas division. Probably a lot of talented wrestlers on that Divas roster, but they weren't allowed to go out there and kick ass. Because they were made, not to strike. I mean, I watched a documentary about Brooklyn and everything with Sasha Banks and that, and they first told her that don't strike or don't do any of the wrestling stuff, just be a diva. And it's like, what the fuck,
Yeah, her response was like, I'm not a diva, I'm a wrestler. Let us wrestle. Let's do it.
Let's kick ass. I mean, credit to Triple H for seeing that and seeing that they were getting underused. And that's why you've had all these great matches in NXT. And, the greatest Divas match or the women's match that I've ever seen in God knows how long.
It was awesome.
Which was the Iron Woman match. And I'm not calling it an Iron Man match because there was no men involved.
It was an Iron Woman.
Yeah, except for the referee, of course.
Yes.
But that's another issue. Yeah, I mean, it's like 2.5 rating. I mean, and it seems that the storylines as well, I don't know if you would agree with me on this, Michael, it seems that the storylines are getting, they go with like one direction first, and then at the last minute, they change it and come in and bring in like something else.
I'm actually glad that you brought that up because, with the whole Lana Rusev deal, because I think there was heat on her because, the whole engagement got out and they had to rewrite the storylines. And now Rusev's back as a part of this League of Nations and Summer Rae's with Tyler Breeze, so they had to redo the whole storyline.
Yeah, I'll get to the League of Nations in a bit. But, yeah, I mean, it's like with this whole thing with Roman Reigns as well, which was what I was getting to, the Survivor Series. He finally wins the title, only to be royally fucked over again. I mean, all right, the first time around we were kind of expecting it, and even he admitted himself that he wasn't ready for it. When Seth won at WrestleMania.
Yes.
Right. Even he admitted it as well. He wasn't ready for it. So they brought the rest. So they got Seth out and cashed it in, and one thing led to another. But it's like I said to one of my colleagues at work, if he's not ready for it now. If it's like that again with this, when Sheamus came out and kicked him in the face and bro kicked him and eventually won the title.
Yeah.
If he's not ready for it now, he never will be. I mean, surely he's ready for it now.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, what's your take on that?
I agree with you. I said on one of my audios that if you want to fantasy book it, because personally what I would do is I don't think Sheamus should hold the belt until WrestleMania. I think Roman should win it at the Rumble, and somehow we get Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar in a rematch from last year's WrestleMania. This time, with Roman as the champion and Brock as the challenger, and Roman Reigns beating Brock Lesnar as opposed to Brock beating him from last year in the rematch. But I mean, if they want Sheamus to be the champion and get Roman on this chase, I see them building it, and then Roman finally wins it at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I like that idea, but. The thing is with Roman, from what they're trying to do, I mean, they're trying to make people cheer for him more, so they can have more chance of cheering for him, so they want to see him win the belt.
Yeah.
I mean, the fucked up thing is, they brought in Sheamus, the guy that they actually don't like, considering the way he looks, and it's not because of his wrestling ability, it's the way he fucking looks. I mean, the thing that annoys me, Michael, is they're trying to make him, or make Roman, a babyface. I'll give you an example.
Good.
I watched Botchamania the other day, a Botchamania video, which had the fallout or the ending of the Survivor Series. And you would expect people to be sympathetic towards Roman when Sheamus cashed it in, but they weren't. They didn't give a shit, And then they started booing and everything, and it's actually on the Botchamania 294 edition, which I watched yesterday. They boo him out the building when he gets up, and they play his music to drown out the boos.
Yeah.
They're trying to hide every possible chance of booing. My bad. They were trying to hide any possible chance of booing him because they want people to cheer him. But what I'm saying is, you can't fucking force the fans to cheer and boo who they want.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to boo him, there has to be a reason they boo him. It's the same with John Cena.
Mm.
They obviously boo him for a reason, even though he's probably the biggest babyface in the fucking company.
Yes.
But they boo him for a reason, because they're sick of having him shoved down their throats. They want something different. They want something new. It's kind of like going back to Hulk Hogan. When Hulk Hogan in WCW, he wrestled the Giant once, who was the Big Show.
Yes.
Back in the day at Super Brawl, and they booed him out the building. And then, obviously, WCW was smart enough to think, maybe it's time for a change. Hence, the whole Hollywood Hogan NWO shit in '96. I mean, what's your take on that?
Everything that you just stated, I agree with. The whole, going back to Sheamus there, you had him in that Survivor Series matchup, at there, he looks like a goof with the New Day, talking about getting jiggy on these posers, and then, he's at the end of the match there, and he's losing to the Lucha Dragons and Ryback, and then, at the end, he cashes in the Money in the Bank. So you had the guy who lost earlier, comes out and cashes in the Money in the Bank, and, he looks silly there, and then, he cashes in.
I will admit, that night they made him look like a twat.
Yes.
That night. I've made my feelings clear about the New Day. I can go all night about the New Day. They even in some way proved my point on Raw. 1 minute they're sucking up to Seth Rollins, and now he's out injured, and Sheamus is the new champion. They start sucking up to him now.
Yep.
Which is fucking just ridiculous. Speaking of the Lucha Dragons, what is your take on the tag team division at the moment? Because the tag team division, in my opinion, at this moment in time at least, is in the fucking toilet in WWE.
Well, I like the Lucha Dragons, Sin Cara and Kalisto. I think they're grooming Kalisto to be like the new Rey Mysterio. I think they're both very good athletes. I like the Usos, but, they did announce that the New Day is going to defend against the Usos and the Lucha Dragons for the tag titles at TLC. I'm looking forward to that match, but I'd like to see some new teams get in there. I think they're making Titus O'Neil and Stardust like the Booker T and Goldust of 2015 with the stuff that they've been doing. They're trying to, I don't know if they're breaking off the primetime players, but they're making like Titus the solo guy out of that team. Yeah.
Well, Titus was the solo guy out of that team.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. He did get that singles run, which never got him anywhere, but he did get it. I don't know if they're making Stardust and Titus O'Neil the Booker T and Goldust out of that situation, because, Titus, they've only just brought back the primetime players.
Yeah.
And plus Stardust is with the Ascension Cosmic Wasteland, as they're called. So I don't know if they're doing that, but there seems to be in the pipelines a feud between him and Goldie. Stardust and Goldust.
I was happy to see him back. He looks in great shape. He's I'm very happy that he's in the spot that he is because he's also been one of my favorites, since the natural Dustin Rhodes days, the whole, when the early start of Goldust, when he started teaming with Booker, when he started teaming with his brother. I've just always enjoyed that character.
Yeah, I used to call Booker T and Goldust the Keenan and Kel of wrestling.
One of my favorite shows.
Yeah, one of mine too. I love that show. Back when Nickelodeon was worth watchable.
Exactly.
But now it's not. Mind you, not many shows are worth watchable now.
That's
back
why
in
you
the
gotta watch the splat on T and Nick, man. When they do those splats and they show the Keenan and Kels and all that, that's some of the best stuff on there.
I might have to watch that. Hopefully we've got it over here. I don't know. I don't really take too kindly, because the last time I checked, it took Keenan and Kel affair, which was dumb shit.
At least it's not Sabrina the Teenage Witch and your girl Sir Joan Hart.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Maybe Kevin Owens can sort that out. But anyway, yeah. I mean, as far as booking, storyline wise, in your opinion at least, what needs to change?
Oh man, they got to do a lot. Has to change. I mean, they got to just make these guys look credible. I mean, Tyler Breeze has been having, he's been flip flopping, he's been losing, he's been winning. They're doing the thing now with him and Dolph Ziggler, where Dolph beat him on Raw, Tyler beat him at Survivor Series, and I'm assuming the rubber match is going to happen at TLC. But I haven't exactly liked the way that they've had Tyler Breeze, been having him on the roster. I don't think they've used him good. I mean, in NXT, even, he was losing a lot on the big specials. He was having the great matches, but he needs to get some wins under his belt.
Yeah. I mean, they did the right thing with him when he won it at Survivor Series, when he beat Dolph at Survivor Series. They did the right thing there. And in a way, I kind of expected him to lose to Dolph on Raw in that great match, actually, in that super kick from out of nowhere, which was great. What they're going to do next, obviously there's going to be another match down the road, a third match between these two, so what they're going to do with that, I do not know. Yeah, but Tyler, they need to push Tyler to the moon if they can. Maybe put a US title on him. In my opinion, he doesn't need Summer Rae. That was just Summer Rae on the rebound from the line of bullshit with Rusev. What happened with TMZ, like we said earlier. At the end of the day, he doesn't need that. He needs just to be him. I mean, if I was Tyler, I'd keep an eye on Summer Rae. I mean, stealing that spotlight when he's doing the posing.
Yes.
In the thing, and she's coming in trying to steal the fucking spotlight and everything.
Yeah, selfie stick.
Yeah, we all know he's sharing it with her and everything, because apparently they're boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever the fuck. But he needs to watch that, because I could see him snapping on that in the years to come or months to come, whatever. What's your take on the League of Nations faction?
As I believe you stated, it kind of reminds me of the old WWE 12 when they did Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, William Regal, and Wade Barrett.
Exactly. The I don't know why they didn't do that on there in the first place. I sent a message to NoDQ.com, Jeff Meacham.
Mm-hmm.
I did a question where he was on the Renegade Wrestling channel, and they answered my question. The question was, should they have booked that in real life, the United Kingdom faction?
Yes.
The United Kingdom faction kind of thing, and whether or not the direction would have went, to go there, would they not have booked it and everything, and see where it would go. And he said, yeah, they should have done. But to be honest, I thought they should have done as well.
Yeah. Now, the funny thing about that is, Anthony, isn't it funny that when you play these video games that you sometimes wish they would incorporate stuff that they do in their video games into real life?
Yeah, because that was a good group, actually.
It was.
That was actually a potential-looking good group. It didn't appeal to me at first, and then it was like, boom, it was there, boom. And it really caught my attention, and I started seeing these visions of it in my mind. That could have played out nicely on TV, and it would have worked as well. And it definitely would have kept Drew Galloway in the job in WWE. and give Wade Barrett a new direction. But it was just, it just didn't work, and WWE obviously didn't see anything in it. Which, like I say, was a shame. And was that WWE 12?
Yes, I believe it was WWE 12.
Oh. Wow. Don't time fly on that one, eh?
It does.
WWE 12, now WWE 16. Jesus Christ.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you've enjoyed that. Hope you've enjoyed part 1 of Michael Larkin's interview there. Just a few quick promotions. For more information on the Mystery Island, be sure to check out facebook.com/The Mystery Island and Facebook.com/Back to the Island, and then Twitter.com/The Mystery Island. All the information will be on there. All the information regarding that as well, websites and that. And also be sure to check out it for more information on SoCal Val coming there in early January. I believe it's January 2nd. January 2nd, she will be in Birkenhead. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps it up for the Wrestling Matters podcast. Thank you so much for listening, for watching, whatever it is you do. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on YouTube as well, thank you so much for listening. It is a pleasure. 88th episode is done. Tune in next week for the 89th episode and part 2 of Michael Larkin. And until then, my name is Anthony Walker, saying peace out.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up!
Yes! 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 Yes!
That's 13-14!
Cena, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.